Basically, burnout doesn't come from doing. It comes from who you are when you're doing it. Once you realize that we get to create what shows up into our reality based on what we're looking for, then we get to validate and compound the things that we desire to have in our life instead of the things that are stuck. What if our only job is to find the things that are getting in the way so that we could remove them so these unbelievable things could drop in? There's a younger version of you that dreamt about the things that you're doing right now.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Happy Productive Podcast. I am so excited to jump into this conversation today because it is a topic near and dear to my heart. And you guys, you know what? It's at the core of everything. Like you're going to find out what I'm talking about here, but I promise you this is at the core of everything. This is information that you want to have if you're out there building a business, building a life that you absolutely love. These are things that you need to know. So today my guest is Miss Jocelyn. Jocelyn, hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here.
Yes, we're so excited to have you. So Jocelyn lived and worked in 12 different countries, you guys, and this experience allowed her to realize that even though we speak different languages or we have different traditions, at the core, we are all the same. And so it's so true, right? It's so true. And so since 2010, she's been providing quantum energy sessions and teaching neurolinguistic programming. And those of you who know me, I love all of this stuff, all of it so much. Neural pathways, neurolinguistics. As a coach, of course, like these things are just at the core of a lot of the work that I do as well. And so I'm so excited to jump into this. Jocelyn, you've worked with so many different brands, so many different people, but just tell us in your own words, like, how did you come to be doing this really, really important work?
As for most people, it starts with something happening to someone you love or to yourself, right? And so in about 2003, my mom got sick. And I went on a journey to find a natural, holistic way to help her without the side effects of the Western medicine. And that's how I started in neurologic repatterning, neurolinguistic programming, and Ericksonian hypnosis. And then I dove deeper because that was amazing, but I knew there was something else. So then I dove deeper into the energetics with my quantum physics-based modality, Yin method, and Reiki. And then I just combined all of them together through helping my mom. I then started applying this to my career. And then in my career, I created something beyond my wildest dreams. And every time I would work on it, something would happen. And my husband would be like, what is going on? At first, he just thought it was coincidences. But then when it just kept happening, he's okay, I need to know what this is. And he took all the classes as well, too. So it's just...
That's a good husband. I like that. That's a good husband.
And it's nice to be on the journey together. You can have those conversations, those deep conversations. But after that, it just became my passion to help everyone. Like I've done so much studies on this and I've applied it and embodied it in my life and helped my clients and the things that it's helped them to create. I feel like if the whole world knew this, we can change the world from the inside out. And it's my passion now.
Yeah. And one of the things that you specialize in is helping your clients release those deep rooted issues from their past, those things that are holding them back. And it's so funny. So before our recording today, I've been on client calls all morning and it's just the theme for today. I think it's so interesting that every single call that's come up today has been about those deep limiting beliefs that somehow got encoded, however they got encoded, whatever, from our past, and we carry them forward and we bring them into our lives, we bring them into our businesses. And so it's just like a perfect time to really, really talk about this. And so can you just go into a little bit of when we talk about helping people release these deep rooted issues from our past? There's some people here right now that I'm sure are listening and they're going, what the heck are you guys talking about? And then there's other people like, oh, I don't believe in any of that. And you guys, I need you to slow your roll for a second. And I need you to just open yourself up for a moment and listen. But can you go a little bit into what we're really talking about here, what that looks like, and how can an issue from our past actually hurt us now in the present or our future?
Yes, absolutely. And it's so important. It's like these stories and these identities that we hold on for so long. it becomes us, but then it holds us back. So there's a really simple thing that you could do is like a lot of people say that they're not confident, right? Like they have this story that they're not confident. They're very confident that they're not confident. Like it all comes from my mind. Or they
Yes.
say, I can't trust, but they trust that they can't trust and they real. Or I'm not the creator of my reality. So then they create a reality where everything is completely out of their control. And a lot of these things, most of them come from our childhood. And there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think that there's anything that we need to fix. I think that we came to experience these things to be then to know what it feels like, to then be able to transcend them, to release them, so then we know what it feels like to not feel like that. So
Yeah.
the insecurities a lot of times, or these beliefs, these limitations, come from our family, and they don't do it on purpose. It's just the way that they were running, and each evolution gets to evolve, each generation gets to evolve the next. So it's not that we're broken, it's that we get to evolve, we get to shatter limitations, because now we have this whole world of possibility. Our ancestors didn't have AI, social media. Like they were limited to the area that they were in. They came out of very times, and so they wanted that stability. Now we've been so lucky to have that stability that now we want to go and play and we want to do all those things. And so all we're doing is releasing some of the limitations that no longer serve us, to create something, because we have the luxury to right now, to create something that's more fun for all of us.
Yeah, this is so powerful. I want to go back to something you said, which was really, really good. That if we're not confident, we're actually confident in I'm not confident. And if we don't trust, we trust that we don't trust. So I want you guys to think about your businesses for right now. If you have a limiting belief of I can't trust, and you trust that, and now you bring it forward into your business, and then what happens is that you make yourself right of see, I can't trust. And you hire people who are not trustworthy. You work with clients who are not trustworthy. And you start to bring this into your day to day. And this is, I think, some of the deepest work that we do with our clients when we coach them of, hey, we can do all the tactical actions, right? We can do the marketing and we can manage the budget and we can do all that stuff and we can teach all that stuff. But if you bring that deep limiting belief to the tactical action, you are not going to get the full result of what you're after. And there's just no way, because it's just, hey, I'm not good with the money and I can't trust. Okay. And then you hire the bookkeeper that steals from you. It's yeah, you end up proving yourself. And if you don't get in and literally shatter these limiting beliefs, and there's nothing wrong about them, it's just how we learn as humans. We model when we're young and it's how we learn. But if you don't shatter those, you're never going to fully get that result. And you probably see this with your clients too, right? Where they're bringing this belief, even though they're doing, they're not getting the result until you work with them to get rid of that belief.
Yes, because every single moment of every single day, we are creating or manifesting, whatever word you want to use. It's all
Yeah.
just language.
Yeah.
So you're either manifesting or creating an abundance of lack, an abundance of stuckness, or an abundance of wealth, an abundance of like opportunities based on what your beliefs are. And so a lot of clients will come and say, oh, I have this issue, or I always keep attracting these people, or this is always stuck. And so then I'll ask them, and they'll say, no, not always, but this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And I'm like, okay, that's great. You validated this story. Do you want to keep living that story, or do you want to start validating the story of the life that you desire to live? It's like the red car theory. Like, how many red cars did you see on the road today? Versus tomorrow, if I ask you to go on the road and actually look for the red cars, how many red cars would you see on the road? You'd probably see a red car down an alleyway that you never saw before because you were looking for the red car.
Yeah.
And so once you realize that we get to create what shows up into our reality based on what we're looking for, then we get to validate and compound the things that we desire to have in our life instead of the things that are stuck, and then continue to be stuck and manifest that and create that over and over and over again.
So true. And so okay, the million dollar question. So when you identify, hey, I'm bringing this belief into my present, right? And it's affecting what I can bring in and what I can create. How do we fix it? How do we unravel that? How do we start to tell a new story? And I know that's a loaded question, Jocelyn. I know there's so many different ways we could go with that, but maybe just share like one thing when somebody realizes, hey, I've got this belief, it's really affecting what I can create or achieve in my life. What's something that they can do to start telling a different story?
The first step is awareness. The first step
Mhm.
is if you look at your life and you just look around and say, okay, what stories am I telling myself and are these serving me? And if they're not serving you, what do you desire them to be? So I used
Mhm.
to have the story that I could never hold on to money. I'm really good at making money, but I couldn't hold on to money because every time big money came in, a big bill came in, or the pipes would break, or something would happen with the car, I'd make all this money or I'd go on a trip and buy all this stuff, right? But I couldn't hold on to it. So I kept validating that. So, of course, because it was my ancestral pattern, that's just what happens. And it's so much bigger than me until I realized that I only validated the times when I made a lot of money and the money went out. But what about
Mhm.
the times that I made a lot of money and it didn't? So once I was aware of that, then I started validating the times that the money started coming in and the times that it didn't shifted out. So that's a simple way of starting. But of course, I did the reprogramming process on myself to really deepen it so I wouldn't have to keep reframing it all the time.
Mhm.
But then when you can do that, you start already opening everything up. I do this with my 5-year-old. Like, we create the reality that we're magic, miracles, and exponential wealth. And so everything that happens, we use an example to compound it. I always use this story of when I took my son to the beach and I forgot his toys, and a 5-year-old, his toys tends to have a meltdown.
Yeah.
I was like, don't worry, Bodhi, we got it. We're magic and miracles. We'll sort it out. And we get down to the beach and it pulls him out because he knows that's a reality we create. So we get down to the beach and we start digging, and right away we find this Lego wizard in the sand. Like, it couldn't get any more magical than that. And so he took it out and he's like, yes, and he uses it as his wand or whatever. But like, and there's been other times where stuff hasn't happened, but we don't compound that. We compound the time that every time there's magic and miracles. So in his reality, in our reality, that becomes our reality. And
Yeah.
then you just to be accountable to that reality, right? I'm
Yeah.
not talking about bypassing, because it's not okay. I don't think about those other things. Those other times, if something comes up, I harvest the learnings, I pivot, and then I turn it into something better than I could have imagined. We'll sometimes stop where I am and reprogram. If I'm driving and something comes up and it's triggering to me, I'll pull over on the side and I'll reprogram myself. So I'm not bypassing it, but I'm very aware that I'm creating this reality. So what tools do I have to lean into it, stay in that old reality?
Yeah, and the words I think matter so much. I'm so fascinated by neurolinguistics and the power of those words. I know this much. I know if you're listening, I'm showing an inch with my fingers. Those of you on YouTube will be like, "Yeah, I see her." So, I'm so fascinated by the words that we use, as you said with your client when you said always. Always is a great word to catch ourselves on. And I don't want to come back to the words, but one other thing you said about magic and miracles, there I love that so much, where we're creating something new. There was a time a few years ago where me and my husband, we were walking on the beach, and we went to a different beach that we don't normally walk on. We were on vacation. And as we're walking down this beach, there was so much trash on this beach. And I was just like, and that's one of the things that we now do, is then we didn't do this, but as we are walking along, I just start picking up this trash. And I'm just like, oh, this is bothering me. I'm just picking up this trash. And as I keep walking, I'm like, I need a trash bag. This is what I need. But I'm on the beach and out in the middle of nowhere, and the beach was about to end. It was going a little bit further. And my husband's, let's just turn around. Let's go back. And I'm like, no. And I'm just like, I'm going to keep walking. And I kept walking. I kept walking. And sure as heck, brand new, the big black hefty trash bags, the big ones, is half buried in the sand, half sticking out. And I walk a little, and I was like, oh my God, is that a trash bag? And I go and I pull this thing out, and it's like the full size, the big, and it's brand new. And it's buried under the sand, and how it got there I have no idea. So I like your son manifesting the little Lego man. I'm like, I need a toy. It's I need a trash bag. I it did. I'm like, there's your trash bag. So we literally walked back on the beach and we filled up this trash bag full of trash. And as we were walking back, other people actually saw what we were doing. So they start putting trash in the trash bag. And we left the beach cleaner than we found it. That's the rule. I'm a horse girl, and the barn rule is always leave the barn cleaner than you found it. We now leave the beach cleaner than we found it. But now, anytime we go to the beach, we always pick up trash, and I can always find a trash bag. Like always. It's just if I can manifest a big black hefty trash bag, I can manifest something to put this trash in that I found. But it was so beautiful the way that it all happened of just, hey, this is really what I need, and was able to bring it in like right there. That's why I loved your son's story with the Legos. It's don't worry, we're magic and miracles. And you did, and you created a toy. That found a toy, and that was just so beautiful. I love it.
I love that. And what you touched on is exactly basically my main work. It's like helping us to remember that there's something bigger than us that are putting things, synchronicities, things into our life. If you think about all of the most incredible things that happen in your life,
Hmm.
most of them dropped in out of the blue.
Yeah.
Your partner dropped in out of the blue, an opportunity, an email, a chance encounter. These things that dropped in out of the blue, the trash bag, the wizard, leaped us into another reality
Yeah.
because they dropped in. And so, what I do is I support people to get in synchronicity, to get into the zone. Our goals and our visions that we are working on, I know, are for us. We are a match for them because in quantum physics, past, present, future is in the now. And so, this vision that you're having of your business reaching a certain level and all those things possibly just be a future echo from a future memory showing you what's coming if you show up every single day and take aligned action. The only things getting in the way are our limiting beliefs, our
Mhm.
worries, our doubts, our anxieties. And so our job is to find what those blocks are, to remove them so more get to drop in. And so we're talking about limiting beliefs. And I had this belief that I was not lucky, that I never won things, that it wasn't easy for me, that it was always a struggle until I decided I didn't want to live that way anymore. So then I reprogrammed myself. I went to the spa. I reprogrammed myself to be the lucky one while I was in the sauna, just enjoying my day. Discovered that part of the reason why I had that belief was because if it was easy, I wasn't worthy. I didn't earn it. Couldn't prove that I was worthy. And so my whole life, I was just trying to prove that I was worthy and that I had to do it the hard way and that it wasn't easy because look what I did and look what I was able to create no matter what. Subconsciously, I was creating all these struggles to prove my worthiness until I recognized I don't care what people think about whether I'm worthy or not, because if I get to be the lucky one and I get to live an easy life, then it doesn't matter what other people think because I know I'm worthy and deserving and I'm the one that gets to live this lucky life. And there were so many other layers to it in the reprogramming process that I discovered, but I'll go into that. But anyways,
Mhm.
I got home from the spa, and as soon as I got home, I got a message from my friend, and she said, "You just won a brand immersion worth like over 10,000 US from your mentor." And I said, "No, I didn't. She pulled that last week." And she's, "No, she pulled it again and you won." She just pulled it randomly. And so I was like, and that became my reality after I decided to then compound that I was a lucky one. Then stuff like I'd be doing my things, and then I just went to go and speak in New York at a summit. Those things would drop into my inbox. Those things get to drop in the more that you're in the zone, the more that you're in alignment, the more that you don't get in the way. And what if our only job is to find the things that are getting in the way so that we could remove them so these unbelievable things could drop in?
I love this so much. My last client call, one of my clients, he was talking about how he wants everything planned to the exact detail of this is how it's going to happen. And we were literally just talking about like when you're trying to control everything so strictly and decide this is where I want to go and this is the only way it can happen, you actually close the door on the universe. We'll call it the universe being able to drop things in because you're not open to it. You can't receive it if you've decided it can only come in this way. And I love how by clearing all these beliefs, you open yourself up to beautiful, amazing things now being able to be dropped in because you're open to receive it.
Yeah, and it's the first step is just being aware that that's even a thing. Because after I tell people, they're like, oh my gosh, yes, those
Yeah.
things dropped in. I keep thinking that I'm the one that's doing it. All I get to do is take aligned action, and then everything else has to fit. Right. And
Yeah.
so, yes, taking aligned action, we do take aligned action, we have a plan, but then we also discover that the stuff behind it that's getting in the way so that opportunities can come in because it's not who we are, it's not what we do, it's
Hmm.
who we are when we're doing it. So I knew that I wanted to do corporate workshops before,
Hmm.
and I knew that I wanted to reach out to all these companies because I wanted to work with them and help them to open up their revenue, open up their success and their fulfillment at the same time. And I've never done corporate workshops before. With the way that I work is I know I'm going to tune in and I'm going to find out what is the aligned action that's going to bring the most value to this. I'm
Yeah.
going to know that I'm going to work on getting my energy magnetized so that when I'm in the zone, I can open up synchronicity or I can open up the flow, whatever words, again, it's just words, right? Whatever
Hmm.
words you want to use. So I knew I'm going to start writing the proposal. I'm going to think about the banks that I want, not banks, I'm going to think about the corporate companies that I want to work with. And I'm
Yeah.
going to take aligned action. And I'm just going to take aligned action on that. And I'm going to take aligned action on all the other areas of my business, as well as resting, as well as getting my battery full, which I'll go into after. And so as I was doing that, then all of a sudden a friend messaged me and she's, hey, someone wants to book you out of the blue. Are you available? I said yes because I tuned in and I was like, okay, this fits. Even though it's last minute, I'll move stuff around. I get there. I end up working with a CEO. I tell him what I'm doing. He's, oh, I train a team. I say I do corporate workshops. He said, awesome, send me the proposal. I hadn't even finished the proposal yet. So I finished the proposal, sent it off. They loved it so much that they ended up having all the leaders from the entire company in my first bank workshop because I knew that if, as long as I took aligned action, I was ready, the opportunity would drop in, and then I quantum leaped into it. If that didn't happen, I would have had to finish the proposal, contact all the companies, figure out who to talk to,
Yeah.
start building a relationship, and all that time I would have wasted versus just knowing that if I'm just in the zone and if I'm in alignment and if there's fears. So one of the things that I did to get into the zone was remove the fears that I wasn't good enough to be taken seriously at a corporate company. And they
Yeah.
wouldn't want to hear about these kinds of things. And who am I to come in and tell them and share with them and teach them all these things? Like I had to remove all these blocks. I had to discover what was going on back there to
Yeah.
remove it out. And once I removed it out, then I was a match for them. But before that, I wasn't a match for them.
Yeah. And you've worked with some of the world's largest global brands, Gucci, Fendi, Louis Vuitton. Like, you guys, this is not like she worked with Joe's Pool Hall down the street. Like, she's worked with the world's largest luxury brands doing this work. So listen, she really knows what she's talking about. I love this so much. Go a little bit deeper into you said taking aligned action. And what's the difference between doing versus taking aligned action?
So the main difference in the simplest way is like the story from U Squared. If you haven't read it, it's an amazing book. It's the fly that's beating its head over and over and over on the window pane trying to get out, when all it had to do was slow down, fly backwards, look for the door, and fly out.
Mhm.
Doing, keeping busy, feeling like we're like successful is going to get us one result. But if we pull back and realize there's so much more than the doing, there's who I am when I'm doing it. Like when you think about you're in a room and then all of a sudden you're just drawn to look at someone. You don't know why. something about their energy draws you to them. You don't know who they are, you don't know what they do, but you're magnetized to their energy.
Hmm.
Other people look as well. They want to go and talk to that person, right? Then someone walks in that's trying to prove themselves, and you can feel that as well. Someone walks in angry, and someone walks in you don't even notice because they're so insecure.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's not what we do, it's who we are when we're doing it. A simple example is if you go into a store and you see someone that's charismatic and in their power and just energetically aligned somehow and you don't know why. But then the other person is selling the same thing with the same script, but they're insecure. They're stressed out because of the pressure they're putting on themselves, or they're having stuff with family, and then they bring that into the job. Who are you going to be drawn to go and work with?
Yeah.
So when you know that's the other piece, sometimes the aligned action is to get your battery charged, because I always use the saying, chase butterflies, or you can build a garden and let the butterflies come to you. And so that's what I'm talking about, is when you take action that's going to bring the most value, not just doing all the time. And then you also realize that your energetics are also involved. So I get to also use that to make my action so much more powerful. I start compounding, I start building momentum, and then things start building so much faster than ever before. But if we're always exhausted and burnt out and frustrated and just doing just to do, because we think if we just keep doing, we're going to get the results, we will get them, but it's just going to be that much more exhausting and slower, versus the other way of really discovering how to not only take aligned action for the things that are going to bring the most value, which a lot of times are the hardest things, the elephants in the room, right?
Yeah.
But also things that don't make sense to your conditioned mind, resting, having a spa day, having relationships, like creating magic and miracles in your life so that you believe that it's even possible, so that things can drop in more. Like compounding that belief that, oh my gosh, all these things dropped in. That means the more that I'm energized, the more that I'm in deep gratitude, one foot in gratitude, one foot in creation, the more that's going to drop into my life. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, but that's how we have
Yeah.
fun with it.
I love it. It sounds like we're starting to like transition into more creating versus achieving, two different things. And so would you speak to that just a little bit, because there is a difference between the two. So like what would you say is the difference between creating versus achieving?
Basically, burnout doesn't come from doing. It comes from who you are when you're doing it. So if you're
Mm,
doing it to prove, please, achieve, you're not good enough, you have to do this, all of these things, it causes burnout. But if you're doing it because you love it and because you're
mm,
creating something, because you already know that you're more than enough, you already fell in love with this life that you've already created. There's a younger version of you that dreamt about the things that you're doing right now. And
yeah.
so if you really are like, oh my gosh, what an incredible life I've created. I'm creating this next stuff. So what do I want to create next? I'm already whole and complete. I'm already worthy and deserving. I have nothing to prove. Now I just get to create. And you use the word get instead of I have to, should, need. All of those have to, should, needs are scarcity words, and they are
Yeah.
never going to be a match for infinite potentiality. They're going
Hmm.
to be a match for what's possible for you or what already happened in the past. So if you have a plan, your conditioned mind can give you a plan, but it's
Yeah.
only going to create more of what you've already created or what already exists, because that's all it knows. It only knows what exists. It doesn't know the stuff that's going to drop into your life and blow your mind. And so, yes, you get to have the plan, but you also get to open it up to infinite potentiality to say, okay, this could happen, but it could be even more than that. So let's discover, let's wonder, let's see, what do I desire to create, because I'm amazing and I get to create more because it's an evolution over my entire lifetime. And when you come at it in that energy, you're not exhausted, because it's like that discovery, like childlike wonder, that creation, like when you're drawing something and you're in the zone, that magnetizes your energy again. So
Yeah.
I used to do freelance work to support when I was building my business. And I used to be so frustrated with it, because I was like, every time, every moment that I'm here is taking away from my business. But this money gave me stable, predictable money so that I could build this.
Hmm.
And so when I recognized that, I was like, wow, I get to do this. So I showed up at that freelance job, the energy of I get to do this now. I'm so grateful for this job. So I'm going to show up and I'm going to give the most value because this job and this company is allowing me to build the business of my dreams. Once I started showing up that way and reprogramming all the stories in my head, all
Yeah.
of a sudden that job started getting so much easier. Like before, it was stressful. There was always stuff that didn't go right. We'd always work overtime and there'd be so much drama. But then all of a sudden, I'd start showing up because I was in this gratitude frequency, and things would just start working. We'd end up starting to finish like an hour early, so much so that everybody kept saying they wanted to be on my shift because somehow when Jocelyn arrives, everything just works and we have an easy, chill day because of whatever they called it positivity, but it was so much deeper than that. It was my energetics, right? And so then now this job became easier. I started finishing earlier, still making the same money to then support this business. So
Yeah.
again, it goes back to it's not what we do, it's who we are when we're doing it. That
Yeah.
really shifts the energy.
Oh my goodness, I love this so much. And I think that I love how you brought the neurolinguistics in with the words that you were using. I think words have so much power, and you can feel, you don't have to be an expert in neurolinguistics like Jocelyn is. I think that we can all feel the words that we're using. And when you started using different words, like I get to do this, that created a whole different energy. It created a whole different feeling, a whole different emotion. Instead of, I have to do this, I get to do this. And everybody who's listening, play around with it. Like, even in your own life, when you say, I always, whatever, get something terrible, that word always, that's another powerful word too. I should, right? Should, I think, is a really big one. I'm trying. Like, these words, when you feel your words, there's a heaviness to so many of these words versus other words that really open us up to new potential, new things coming in.
Absolutely. And also recognizing how much power we have that we're giving away. One of the simple
Right.
things that will help you today is taking your power back from time. We say
Mm,
we don't have time. Always will create time for the things that are important to us. It's just like before you have a child and you have all this anxiety about having a kid because how can you have a kid when you're already so busy and you don't have money already and all of these things. But then somehow the child comes in and all of a sudden you have all this energy to be able to be a parent and run your business and have enough money to pay for their preschool and all of these things. So when we say we don't have these things, instead of recognizing it's our choice, we have time. And so we choose what we spend it on. We take our power back and then we prioritize and we look at our life and say, okay, there's all these things, obligations, shoulds, have tos, but what's actually really important? When you have inner power, those obligations don't become so big anymore.
yeah.
Then you can stay in your lane, stay in the zone. But when you don't have inner power and you're just running on circumstantial or external power and other people's opinions and validations, you're going to be swayed left and right
Right.
constantly. And then you're going to say, I don't have time because you're on the merry-go-round. But when you recognize this is your merry-go-round and you get to
Yeah.
decide what you're going to do with that, when you have the inner power, your whole life changes.
Yeah. One of my all time favorite sayings is, anytime I start feeling pressed for time, which happens, I have all the time I need.
Yes.
And I just repeat this, I have all the time I need. And the more I've done this, the more time I create and the more time I have. And it's, oh, wait a second, it actually is real now. I do have all the time I need. And so it's one of my favorite things to just pop in there. And I teach that to my clients too. It's just, no, wait a second, we got to tell a new story here. And even just, I can feel it in my physical body of just a shifting of just, oh, wait a second. I have all the time I need. I create time. I choose where my time goes. Oh, okay, I'm back here in my power. And then it's just like, everything just lines up. It's great. I love it.
Yes, because you're surrendering, because what you resist
Yeah.
will always persist. And that you're resisting will just get more and more stuck.
Yeah.
And then not just that, you're draining that energy because you're stressed out. But if you're just
Right.
like out by a wave, if you try
Yeah.
and fight the wave, you're going to turn and turn and turn like a washing machine. But if you just surrender and let your body go limp, your body will float to the surface. And we
Yeah.
do that in life. And once you do that in life, synchronicity, the most incredible things just start dropping in. But it's just us. It's just,
I love it so much. You guys, there are so many amazing things from today's show. So I really, really hope that you're really listening, writing down the stuff that really resonated with you, and obviously taking some aligned action so that you get the result that you're really after. I could just do this all day with you. I love this work so much. And it's just, it really and truly is at the core of everything. So you guys, I was not kidding. It is truly at the core of everything. I know that people are going to want to know more about you, Jocelyn. So, where can they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Jocelyn Sandstrom or on my website, jocelynsandstrom.com. If you want a free process that's going to help you to guide you to your knowing versus your conditioned mind to help you to make better, like take more aligned action every single day, email me at info@jocelynsandstrom.com and I'll send you that free process that you can start doing every single day. The more that you do this, the more that you listen to your intuition, your gut knowing, your inner knowing, whatever you want to call it, the thing that's going to guide you to the thing that's going to be the biggest aligned action that's going to start compounding things. If you do that every single day, you build that confidence within yourself, and then you start making different decisions.
Oh, I love it so much. And we will put all of Jocelyn's information in the show notes as well. Definitely check her out on her website, reach out, get the tools. I'm obviously a huge believer and you know your stuff. And so thank you, Jocelyn, so much for
Thank
being here with me
you.
today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's been such an honor and so nice to meet everybody. Have an
Yeah.
amazing day.
Yes, awesome. All right, guys, that's it for today's show. I hope you got so much from it. Now get out there and have a happy, productive day, y'all. Bye.